we are, another top seller fragrance review on the Robes 08 channel, which I don't like. How can I do a proper introduction for Dylan Blue? Listen, guys, on YouTube, you're going to have fragrance reviewers that actually really love this stuff, and it's going to be in their top 10 list. There's other reviewers that actually pop it into their top 10 list because it's really popular. There's other reviewers that are going to give you the sugar-coated type of fragrance review, which they don't really like the fragrance, but they're going to be nice to you because you're a subscriber. And then there's me. This is the mainstream generic, we aren't thinking outside the box release from the House of Versace. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about the fragrance, but you know what? It's a fragrance review with one man's opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. But now, let's get into it. YouTube fragrance family, welcome to another Robes 08 fragrance review. Today I'm putting my nose on the House of Versace and their top selling hype beast Versace Pour Homme, Dylan Blue. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the fragrance review, please take time to subscribe down below, hit that bell ding so you can keep tabs on me and be one of the first to check out my new beard. See what you're missing. I'm also all over social media. You can follow me on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Talking about Facebook, I do have a Facebook page, as you see, but I also have a Facebook group called Fragrance Guru Nation, where myself and 17,300 other members are waiting for you to join us to talk fragrances today. We also talk about our YouTube fragrance community, new reviewers, post their stuff on there, people buy, sell, trade, swap, all that good stuff. So definitely join us today if you have a Facebook account. Prior to the review, I'd like to thank my partner in crime, FragranceX.com. Yeah, this is a sponsored video. My sponsor may not be too happy with me digging the grave for Dylan Blue, but guess what? That's what I like about my sponsor. They don't care what I say. They just want to hear their name in my fragrance review. So you can utilize my coupon code ROBES08, my channel name, on FragranceX, and you can purchase this fragrance, if you feel differently than I do, or any other fragrances on FragranceX. So Robes08, 15% off on FragranceX. Thank you very much. Now let's get into the scent itself. Chapter 1, let's take a look under the hood of Dylan Blue. Release date was back in 2016. Concentrations eau de toilette. Nose behind this one, oh, the famed Alberto Morillas. Ooh, Monsieur Morillas, let's see. Oh, Mr. Morillas. I smell a lot of stuff that you've done in this one too. Creative, aren't you? Now, the olfactory group of this particular fragrance, I would have to say the Aromatic Fougère. Now, let's take a look at the note breakdown of Dylan Blue. Up top, we have grapefruit, fig leaves, and bergamot. So very aromatic, very clean. In the mid, we have patchouli, ambroxan, violet leaf, papyrus, and black pepper. So you got a little bit of bite, but you also have a lot of typical notes here. And then in the back end of the fragrance, in the base, we have saffron, musk, incense, and tonka bean. So the keynotes to this nose right here, Monet, ambrox, definitely, bergamot, and grapefruit. This is around the realm of Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage by Dior, and of course, ADG Profumo, which Morillas did do. And I feel a little bit of that in Profumo in this one. So I can't wait to talk about that to all of you. This thing right here is part of the Pour Homme line, which I'm going to go off screen for a little bit. I actually prefer these two. It is from this line. That's why I got the big bottles. This is the originator. A very good, classy daytime scent. A little boring, but good for office wear. And then this one, my favorite from the Pour Homme line, and maybe actually my favorite from the Versace. I still have to review this. This is their oud-based scent. An excellent designer release. If you have to check one out and you have the same taste as me, I'm putting in an advert in this Dylan Blue review for good scents. Here it is. Now, welcome to meat and potato time in the fragrance review, where I am going to describe the opening and the dry down of the particular fragrance. I'm going to give you guys as much information of what I get from Dylan Blue from up top right down till the end of the fragrance. And I'm going to give you guys my take on while I was wearing this fragrance. I drained, I'm almost halfway through the bottle of this fragrance. It is a little 1 ounce, so that's how much testing I do on a particular fragrance. But I'll tell you the good and the bad, as I always do. It is my scent of the day today. It's actually my scent of the day and scent of the night. I'm actually shooting this at nighttime, and I got the dry down here on my arm, but I got to remind myself of this introduction so I can describe it fully for all you fine folks out there. So let me spray the back of my hand, a few sprays here, and for the fragrance community, there you go. So there's some Dylan Blue for all of y'all. So now I immediately regret spraying so much Dylan Blue in my fragrance room. Well, at least I know the introduction. So this introduction is what sells Dylan Blue, right? It's youthful, it's fruity. To me, it's very youthful, safe. That's a word. I don't like that. There's some times that safe is good. You need a couple safe fragrances in your repertoire. I prefer others, and I'll tell you why. But shower gel, this has been described as shower gel-ish. It feels cheap, yes. That is one thing that comes to mind. To me, it smells like something that I would buy at, Walmart for $5 instead of a high-end Versace fragrance. So Dylan Blue opens with a very fresh vibe. It will remind some noses to Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage by Christian Dior, and ADG Profumo by Armani. Now, the difference between Versace and those three is those are, I would say, quote-unquote premier brands. Armani definitely isn't. They think they are in the fragrance game. They're not. In other situations, tuxes and stuff like that, they are. But they have a high-end price tag, and at discounters, they really don't go down much. This is one of the good things about Dylan Blue is Versace fragrances don't hold their retail price. You'll get them at discounters for fairly cheap. So for some people, this reminds them of some of those fragrances, namely some think that this is like Bleu or Sauvage or Profumo, and I feel like these people do have a foot to stand on to compare it to those. In a nutshell, Dylan Blue is their Ambrox Bergamot Grapefruit combo. That is what this fragrance makes me think of, and it is a response to those top sellers. So to me, the opening of Dylan Blue starts strong in your face with a very tough opening. Now, when I mean tough opening, like I sprayed this room like this, a lot of people will be like, you're the fragrance guy right now. You stink. It really feels like you're that cologne-y guy. It really isn't appealing at all. Again, I oversprayed, so I'm going to tell you. But the opening of this fragrance never clicked with me. It never felt good. It was truly an uphill battle since day one. You'll see it. My initial impression is actually on YouTube, unboxing this thing right down to a first impression to now this video. It never got better with me. I've given it its due. I've drained this bottle about halfway now for testing purposes. I've tested it in warm weather, cold weather, in the office, in high traffic areas, low traffic areas, inside, outside, anywhere I can. I do this with all my fragrance reviews, and it never clicked with me personally. And that is a very important thing with fragrances. It has to click with you. I don't care what the surrounding people say about it. I care on how I feel. It makes me confident. This one never did. It's fresh, it's fruity up top. The bergamot is the strongest note, but the use of the grapefruit in here and the bergamot actually is very familiar. They don't stand out to me. It feels like a copy-paste. It feels like Alberto did some copy-paste action here. It really feels very familiar from a dozen of other releases. Like the grapefruit's not sparkly. It's not anything tart. It really doesn't show much of a grapefruit. If you want a nice grapefruit, go Pampelune by Guerlain. Same thing, of course, with the bergamot in this. Not one of the best bergamots. It's just your standard designer bergamot. So really this opening, same formula, copy paste action. The one thing that does make this opening stand out in a bad way, honestly, is the fruity tone here. There's some heavy fruity tones here with a fake blue tone that's very high pitched to my nose. It feels really, really staticky. I really didn't like that opening. It feels it just feels unpolished as an opening. It really, and that is one thing that some people really, really like about this fragrance is that fakey fruit that doesn't smell like any real fruit. You can't say you smell raspberries or strawberries or melon or anything out of this fruity concoction. It's fruity, but you don't really know what the fruit bowl is showing you. That's how it is. And this fake blue thing, it has that shower gel quality, right? I'm comparing it to, blueberry juice versus in the supermarket, the blue juice, or the grape juice versus the purple drink. That's how this fragrance feels like to me. I'd pay $5 to smell like this, but I would not pay a premium Versace price. Again, this has gone down in discounters. Don't get me wrong, I'll talk about pricing, but again, for retail, this stuff, I'd rather pay $5 to smell like it and then put a nice fragrance that's actually a little more upscale. It has a bit of a peppery kick. It kind of steals that page from Sauvage. Sauvage from Dior has a small, the Eau de Toilette, I own it. It has a peppery kick to the fragrance, but it's very much toned down in this particular scent, so it's not going to have that much of a kick, but it's there. The fig leaf here has a creamy green quality. However, it is something, one of the notes that I was actually really interested in this fragrance, and it feels very minor in the whole scheme of things. It can be missed by the users. So just one note to unfortunately, that I really was looking forward to has a very minimal role in the particular fragrance. Also, there is a soapy quality in Dylan Blue to me that has a talky feel to the fragrance at times. It almost goes from shower gel to almost a smelly shower gel, but like a bar of soap type of feel to the fragrance. Now, through my testing, and I like to throw this at all of you when I do fragrance reviews, like full-fledged fragrance reviews, is I like to test a lot on skin, of course, with different scenarios, and I'll wear them as my scent of the day, and at least a dozen times or more. And I also like to test at home on just a piece of paper. This thing, off the bat, this thing smells a lot better on my skin than it did on paper. I could not, and I mean I could not stand this scent at all on paper. When I was trying to test it at home and I was spraying it on a blotter and I was bringing it in my nose, I'm like, wow, this is just a synthetic mess. The fake aquatic tones, I could not appreciate at all. The opening is fresh, yet it has no color to it, no personality. It felt like a copy-paste job from many of these top sellers with a smaller budget, honestly. That's how it feels. It's like somebody copy-paste, and then the owner's like, we can't afford this copy-paste. Can you just tone it down a little bit and try to make it kind of like the other guys? That's how it felt in the introduction. Now, this introduction obviously sells a lot, right? I just name-dropped Bleu, Sauvage, Profumo. The same people like these fragrances, to be quite honest, and that's okay. But for me, you could tell on my channel, you've seen what I felt about all those fragrances, except for Sauvage. I haven't reviewed that one yet, but that's coming. So let's get into the heart and the base. That's the meat and potatoes of the fragrance. It's not all about the opening. The opening is just to sell you on the fragrance. Now, what does it do on my skin for most of the time? Now, upon testing Dylan Blue, I was thinking this is a top-heavy scent. That's how I felt. And even though the top isn't very good, in my personal opinion, many love it, and I feel that's what sells units. Now in the dry down of Dylan Blue, it goes less youthful, actually. It was very youthful up the top. It's an Ambrox, musky, tonka heavy base. When I said the opening has no originality at all, I couldn't think the copy paste could actually get worse. It did. The backbone of this scent reminds me of that fog that Alberto utilized in Armani's EDG Profumo. You know, that patchouli incense fog that Bleu de Chanel utilizes, and Profumo that doesn't smell like either patchouli or incense. I smell no patchouli, green, dankness at all in this fragrance. Neither in Profumo, neither in Bleu de Chanel. Incense, I smell no smoky quality at all from incense. I'll recommend you some really good patchouli-based fragrances, some great incense-based fragrances, but this ain't it right here. There's none of that. I think people read note breakdowns and just go, yep, I smell incense and patchouli. I don't see it here at all. The transitions in this fragrance were very rough, very sketchy. Like that opening was just felt unpolished, and so does this ending. This ending feels kind of blah to me. It's very, like I said, that fake fog of darkness with patchouli incense. This, put it in the pot, mix it with that Ambrox. This combo does not work for me. It's a chemical mess. Honestly, it is. From top to bottom, I really could not stomach this fragrance at all. It smells a little more like the 90s here in the back end of the fragrance. Feels like kind of a little polo greenish. Kind of like EDG Profumo did to me. It felt kind of 90s in the back end of the fragrance, and so does this one. So I don't know if Mories utilized that same combination in both these fragrances. I wouldn't be surprised, to be quite honest. The copy-paste job in here is dramatic. Overall, not a great review for Dylan Blue, I'll be honest. It smells cheap to me. It did since day one. Never changed my mind. Never did. It feels like it's something that I'm never going to reach out for anymore now that the review is complete. It's a bargain bin scent with a premium price. However, now that I've reviewed it, it's at discounters and it's starting now to be around the price I feel would be great for somebody to start with. At retail, I fail to see the worth in this particular fragrance. You can get much better for your money. So let's get into ratings of uniqueness and scent. So uniqueness, let's start it off there. It's not good when I do a fragrance review and I start saying copy paste this, copy paste that, especially in the intro and into the dry down. It feels like it was just a mishmash of top selling formulas at the moment. These type of fragrances are going to hit discounters hard. 5 years from now, discontinued and forgotten. It's not going to be a classic in the game. So 2 bottles out of 10 from me. I'll give it a few points here for that introduction. A little different from the others, but there's a whole lot of stealing here, to be quite honest. As far as the scent itself, 3 bottles out of 10. It is what it is. It's a starter-based fragrance. You know, if you're just getting into your fragrance journey, I was there. I'll tell you, I picked up the top sellers. I picked up the Le Mals, the Boss Bottles, the Issey Miyake Puram. Amen. That's where I started my journey. There's nothing wrong with that. It is a starter fragrance, and that's all it is. Now let's get into performance and feedback. So sprays, how many sprays did I put on myself? Which was, again, I change it up from time to time, but what do I do usually? I always do the one on the chest before I put a shirt on. Then I go 2 on the neck. So I'm going to do it today because, I like you guys. I think I just missed my neck. And 2 on the arms. So I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. So I'll go, right here. And that's good to go. So I'm going 5 sprays. Sometimes I went a little less, especially when it's hotter. 3 sprays is perfect, especially in the first hour or two. This thing really navigates. It really does, especially if you spray it indoors and you're going to be indoors for a bit. People will smell you at that point. Now, longevity. This is going to have some good scores as far as longevity and projection goes. I didn't think it lacked in those areas. So longevity, 7 bottles out of 10. I get 6 to 8 hours on this fragrance. So kudos to them. The longevity's there. Projection, 6 bottles out of 10. Pretty average as far as the projection goes. It goes fairly, bulky in the opening of it, the first couple hours, and then it kind of goes closer to the skin later on. Now on to compliment factor. The compliment factor, I'm going to give it to you straight. 6 bottles out of 10. I feel like people over-exaggerate the compliment factor on fragrances such as these, on top-selling scents. It is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It's okay in the compliment factor game. It's basically the compliment factor game. I'll be straight up, because a lot of you are probably going to be watching this review. It's a dice game, man. The more you wear a fragrance, the more people are going to like what you smell like. Fragrances, that's what it's for. They're all supposed to all be smelling good. And people all have different noses. And some people gravitate on other ones. Like some people, leather oud, most crazy fragrance in the fragrance game. I've had compliments on that. So compliment factor, not a big deal. 6 bottles out of 10. Let's go into versatility. This is a strong point for Dylan Blue. It's a strong point for all these blue fragrances. You have no personality, so I can really wear you a lot in different scenarios. So let's get into it. Age range. Any age, really. From teeny boppers right up to grandpa. Mostly for the younger crowd, but I could see somebody like my age, mid-30s, wearing this as a casual scent. I could see that. Seasons. What seasons would I see myself wearing this? Again, versatility is pretty high on that. All seasons. End of summer nights. I like, the end of summer, and those nights are getting cooler and cooler. Perfect for that. Spring nights. I was actually gravitating towards it. Again, this can be a daily driver, honestly, but I preferred it at night. Day or night. Again, this is really built as a daily driver. This is supposed to be like a signature scent. Like Bleu de Chanel, Dior Sauvage, these things are supposed to be one bottle fits all, right? You can wear it anytime, mostly a daily driver, but I can also see it at night too. So I'm going to put it right in the smack dab, but really more into the daytime, even though I liked wearing it more into the nighttime. Occasions. This thing, I've said it before, it is signature scent worthy. If you like this type of scent, it's going to be your Swiss Army knife. Casual use, I could see that. Dressing up, dressing down, you can do it. But for me, it's going to be one of those that I wouldn't dress up. I feel like it has a little too much playfulness, to be quite honest. More of a casual scent that you're throwing jeans on and out the door you go. So versatility as a whole, 9 bottles out of 10. Very good score, very high score. Signature scent worthy. I can't knock it on its versatility. All year round for the right person. It is 100% its best feature. All these blue fragrances will get good scores in regards to versatility, and their performance are pretty good too. Now on to the next chapter, value. It is probably going to get a very good score here in value. Bottle sizes available to the consumer. I got the little mini, the 1 ounce. There's of course the standards, the 1.7, the 3.4 ounce, but they're the big, mega big bottle. Top sellers usually have multiple sizes like this. So you'll get the 6.8 ounce also for the best bang to your buck. Especially if you're going to wear this as your signature scent, the bigger the bottle, the better for your wallet. Pricing, you're looking at $30 to $120. That's a big gap. The big gap is a good reason why there's a big gap is because it's been on the market for a while now. It's got its years under its belt. You can look at discounters and get something like this. I think I got mine at Fragrance X for $30 some. So very cheap. A good for fragrance review for me, for a fragrance reviewer. And you can try it out, especially for a starter. This is perfect for a starter. See if you like it, move on. The 1 ounce ain't gonna kill you. Availability, it is available at all stores, not discontinued. So pricing versus quality as far as value goes, I'm gonna give it 7 bottles out of 10. Why the higher score is because versus the other fragrances that do this kind of stuff, the Dior's, the Chanel's, and the Armani's, well, those have premium prices and they really stick to their premium. At discounters, you're not really gonna have much wiggle room with those 3 brands. This brand right here, though, you will. There's going to be a huge gap from a Dylan Blue to a Bleu de Chanel, like $60 worth. So that is the good reason why it's getting the 7 bottles out of 10. So now let's end this one. Let's talk about the positives to take away, the negatives to take away, and of course my final thoughts on Dylan Blue. So let's start with the good positives. It's versatile, it's fresh, easy to throw on. The value versus the Dior and Chanel prices, it's there. So there's some positives there. Good for a starter fragrance. Negatives. Too many people wear this type of fragrance. Not for an experienced frag head like myself. If you're deep in this game like I do, you got 100 some bottles, man, just this, you already know better. You don't need me to tell you anything. But there is obviously some negatives like I stated as far as the scent itself. Somebody like myself, I just can't do it. But you may find an experienced frag head like me that loves this stuff. It is their go-to Swiss Army type of scent. And that's why we're all different. It's all great. Let's get into my final thoughts of Dylan Blue. So let's go back to grave digging. So Dylan Blue is just a lazy release. Honestly, price versus Armani, Chanel, and Dior, I could see someone picking this up because of price only. Some actually prefer this over the others, the more expensive others. This is the new genre of semi-fresh in the opening, fruity or bergamot or grapefruit. And then you got that foggy, darkish patchouli incense kind of combo, semi-dark backbone. There's a good reason. Some people actually compare this to an Avon scent. I believe it's called Memorize, if I'm correct. obviously because of the cheap structure of the scent. If you own many scents, this is nothing new in the game. However, if you don't have a collection or do like this DNA, this may be for you on a budget. Honestly, Versace has never been a monster in the men's game. They really don't. I would have a hard time giving my top 5 Versace fragrances for men that I actually really enjoy. Now, I got, of course, my Versace Put Oud Noir here. That is the holy grail of the Versace game. And, of course, Versace Man in the purple bottle, which is now discontinued. You know, the older brother of Eau Fraiche, which everybody loves for some reason. But this and Eros from Versace, man, lazy releases. Now on to the overall score of Dylan Blue. There's some good qualities that I said in this review, but mostly some negatives. And, you know, this is my channel, and this is my review, and this is my thoughts, you know, my opinion on a particular fragrance. I got to give you guys how I feel. I can't sugarcoat it. So my overall score of Dylan Blue, there's some good things, but mostly bad. 4 bottles out of 10. Now on to Buy, Try, or Pass. I would have to say this fragrance right here is a pass. I feel like there's so much more out there in the designer game. Get out of the blue stuff. You know, the blue craze is hopefully dying. I don't know. I'm feeling tingles here that the blue craze may be done. I'm hopeful. But for somebody that's just starting the game, I'll be honest, this may be a try for you. Try it. Give it a try. You may like it. Then you'll move on to other things. That's what's great about this journey. But for me, this is a definite pass. 100%.
Oh,
now that you know my thoughts, comment below. Let us know what you think about this fragrance. Good, bad, and the ugly. You know, you can hit the thumb down if you want. I work hard for my fragrance reviews, but I know you're going to hit a thumb down because you don't like what I had to say today. That's okay. You could put in the comments below that I don't know what I'm talking about. But have you smelt it? Let us know. Now I'm going to leave you with a few takes from social media. I asked everybody on my social media, Facebook, Twitter, you know, the whole spectrum. And I asked their thoughts on this one right here, Dylan Blue. And I'm going to post those at the back end of this video, so don't click off just yet. You're going to see a couple people talking about this fragrance. Good and the bad. I like to mix it up if I can in the back end. And I thank every single one of you that did put in a comment, especially with really popular fragrances like this. I cannot put everybody's comment in. I wish I could, but these videos would be 50 minutes long, so I can't do that. But I thank you for the ones that did. Keep on doing it. And as always, a great or poor fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your blue fragrance wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.